Hey guys, so I'm going to make another video touching on social anxiety. I feel that the one I made prior towards this one was not as informative as I wanted it to be, so I'm just going to touch on a few more topics that I would like to cover and that I feel are very important if you want to progress and get better without, having to rely on medication and just really not good things to heal yourself. I think there's many other ways to do things, and if you feel as though you have the power to self-heal, then do your research and try to figure out what works best for you. My cat's coming downstairs. Hi. Are you joining me for a video? Yeah, hello. Hi. You want to say hi? Do you want to say hi? No? You want to say hi? You camera shy? Okay. This happened last time, I believe. Hello. Hey, pups. Hey, pups. Hey. So distracting. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about things that I believe are important. So as I briefly touched on my last video called Social Anxiety Strategies, I basically talked about anxiety at its most simple and basic level, which we all experience as human beings. Some psychologists will say we have this fight or flight mechanism ingrained in ourselves as primitive beings. So we operate on this basis if that we experience a fearful situation, we have two options. So we either fight it, deal with it, or flight, so go. And so yeah, when we experience a regular state of anxiety, it usually dispels and it subsides no problem. But anxiety becomes a problem when our body tells us that there is danger when really there isn't any real danger around us. And then it becomes, a process where it becomes repeated numerous amounts of times until, we create a habit over it. So it's a bit of a challenge to break out of that habit, since it's a conditioned process in which we habitualize and made for us to understand our behavior. Like that's the way we cope with certain things. So yeah, I guess at its basic form it is an adaptive behavior. Adaptive behaviors are like positive responses to stimuli that naturally would help you survive something. So yeah, like a natural thing to help you live and survive and progress, as opposed to adaptive. I think that's why it's very hard for people to break out of, generalized anxiety disorder or PTSD or social anxiety, because people often ask, well, why can't you just get over it? But I believe that you can't get over it because it is a maladaptive behavior, as opposed to adaptive. The coping strategies that are maladaptive are highly effective in reducing the symptoms. However, in the short term, it helps you at that point, but once you're done that, you can't really go anywhere after that, because there's no progression whatsoever. I hope that's making sense. I can elaborate, I guess, if anybody has any questions about it. The last video that I made got a few responses, and I got a couple of messages about people wanting me to expand on what other kinds of things they can do, because I was a little bit vague at the beginning of the video. So I will touch on that today for you guys. And yeah, so what are some other things one can do? Because we've learned to exercise this maladaptive behavior. Now we have to unlock a way to reverse the process of it and continue a positive loop instead of being, a victim to these repetitive negative loops that keep taking over our lives. And it's a challenge, no doubt about that, but it is possible to do. I wrote a huge list of things. I really wanted to break it down. So yeah, some things I found that are beneficial CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. I haven't taken it myself, but I've done a lot of research on it, and it has been proven by many psychologists and therapists very effective. And I think a lot of it is because it actually takes the person experiencing that anxiety and puts them in that situation which they have to go out in the real world and test the anxiety that they're experiencing and learning about it. It really puts a person into that scenario in order to help them, as opposed to, just going to like a counseling meeting or learning about it. You're not necessarily taking as much in and applying it. It's all about the application. So yeah, take this with a grain of salt. It may not work for you, but try it out. Do your research. Find out what works best for you. Tweak around things. See what you can do. So the first thing I'm going to say is you need to observe and learn about why you feel anxious. So where do you think this fear stems from? Do you think it stems from a past experience with an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend? Do you think it stems from a childhood experience? Do you think it stems from bullying, low self-esteem? Whatever it can be, and it might be multiple things, it might be one thing, try to pinpoint what it is, and then once you got it, try to work out even more answers for yourself. Like, okay, for example, a very common one, and I think the root of most anxiety is the concern of being judged by others, and that you might possibly do something embarrassing that's going to end your life, but really in reality it's not going to end your life. It's going to be okay. But I think when it boils down to it, it's usually the fear of being judged. And feeling anxious in social situations is normal occasionally, like speaking in a large group. But yeah, when it gets to the point where it gets in the way of your ability to function in your everyday life, it becomes a problem. So observe it. Observe your habits in your work life, in your school life. Social situations obviously is a big one. And there's lots of strategies. So observe. Learn to manage social anxiety and to understand it. So I think a big thing is having a journal. If you don't like writing, maybe make a video of your day, what pitfalls you've experienced, what good things you've experienced, who you encountered, and what you may have said that you think wasn't that good. So just talk it through with yourself so that you get a better idea of your patterns. That's the key here. What do you fear? What do you fear in these social situations? Are you afraid of talking to coworkers or peers? Are you afraid of going to parties and experiencing? Obviously, write down the symptoms you might be experiencing with this anxiety. So physical symptoms: blushing, sweating, increased heart rate. Get to be really acquainted with it, because I feel like the only way of really getting past it is getting to know the core of it. And at the same time, don't identify too much of it. I think that's important. With any sort of disorder or disease or whatever you want to call it, try to separate the person from the disorder, and don't put too much emphasis on you being an anxious type of person, because I feel like that's just going to breed more anxiety in yourself. Especially if if you have low self-esteem, you're just going to keep thinking about that, because that's a pattern you've adopted. So yeah, journal all these things, observe your patterns, make a column or a chart. That sounds silly. Just write a list, if you like, of the symptoms that you get. Yeah, what I highly recommend that's helped me so much is meditation. It might take you a while if you've never done it before, but it really does help. It really does help. And if you're new to it, maybe go on YouTube and listen to some guided meditations. That could help you get a better understanding of how to do it without letting your thoughts go haywire on you. Yeah, so meditation. Alongside with that is calm breathing. When you are meditating, you're breathing calmly. You're breathing as you should be letting yourself breathe, if that makes sense. Just flowing and just relaxing and doing what feels right. Just feeling it, letting go completely. And the loops may continue to progress. They may go off and on. They may come back. But don't put too much emphasis on it. It's a catch and release when you're meditating. You think of a thought, comes to your head, and you don't attach to it. So you see the thought, you catch it, you say, okay, it's a thought, I'm thinking it, and you release it, you let it go, and there you go. Oh my god, my throat's getting dry. Oh. Also, eating healthy, I'll talk about that, but I just bought this drink, kombucha, if you've ever heard of it. If not, it's like a fermented tea beverage. I think this one's a sparkling fermented tea beverage, but it's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's like a health product, and I didn't hear of it till like a few months ago, and apparently people in Asia and Eastern Europe have been enjoying this for quite a while. It's very healthy. A lot of fermented products are really good for you and your digestion. Not gonna lie, it kind of tastes a little bit weird at first, but it grows on you. Especially if you don't like things that aren't too sweetened. I don't drink pop, and I don't enjoy things that are too sweetened, but this is really good. So, yeah. Kombucha. Can't close it. Okay. So yeah, meditation and breathing, learning to bring yourself back to the moment where you are right now. Understanding that there is no past, there's just no moment where you have to focus on this anxiety to the point where it makes you sick and you're suffering. Yeah, I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah. Oh, also a really good one that was recommended to me by a healer was taking a Toastmasters course. If you've never heard of Toastmasters, basically it's a worldwide organization, I believe. They have an international website, and it's these group meetings that facilitate proper communication skills. So if you have trouble doing public speaking, or you have a job or an occupation that requires you to communicate with people and network, and really you're revolving on that to survive, then Toastmasters can hook you up with some pretty good training on how to help you improve your communication skills. And yeah, there's a Toastmasters meeting in, I think, almost every city, and I believe it's free. Don't count me on it, but there might be like a membership fee, I'm not sure, a very small fee, but that's also a very good one. I think that if you want to learn more about it and you want to get comfortable, it's good. And the great thing about Toastmasters is everybody's in the same experience as you. They're all in the same boat. Everybody's looking to improve the way they communicate. So if you do have to do some sort of demonstration where you have to do a speech for the class or whatever, and you're nervous, you know what? Everybody's on the same boat as you, and it's helpful because you're understanding what other people are going through, and that you're not the only one. So yeah, meditation, Toastmasters is the bomb diggity. Bomb diggity. Calm breathing. So yeah, you'll notice that when you're in a fearful situation, you aren't really breathing that much. You're still breathing, obviously, because you'd die if you're not. But let's say you're in a fearful situation and you're going through whatever it is, and somebody tells you, hey man, take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath right now. And you take that deep breath and you realize, holy crap, I wasn't even breathing before, was I? Like I was breathing, but it definitely wasn't the same type of breath I'm breathing now. So it really makes a huge difference to really just lower that anxiety by regulating your breath, taking deep yogic breaths, expanding your stomach instead of expanding your chest too much. Because I feel like when people do breathe deep, they place too much emphasis on this area. So when they're breathing, they let this part expand. But you'll notice that if you try to get into a pattern of breathing where you're expanding your stomach as you inhale and then contracting it in an exhale, it will feel a lot better. Muscle relaxation. This I discovered and found it to be really beneficial for me as well. You don't realize it, but your muscles do get pretty tense when you're anxious, as do many other things. You know, your voice, you can feel it in your throat for the most part. Like your throat will get tense, your voice might change. So with the throat, all the other muscles are getting tense too. So the key here is to isolate the muscles. Let's say you have something that you know is going to cause you anxiety, like a meeting or a presentation. 15 minutes before, if you can, or a few hours before if you can, do some exercises where you're relaxing your muscles. Learn to relax your body by involving muscle tension and then releasing that. So go through the various muscles in your body. I like to start from the bottom and then going up to the top, and I isolate various muscles. Like how do I demonstrate this? Okay, I'll go like this with my toes, and then I'll go like that. So I'll tense it for 5 seconds, and then release. And then I'll do it with my ankles, I do it with my calves, my thighs, and just moving all the way up. My fingers, my hands, making like a really strong fist, and then holding it for 5 seconds, and then releasing it. So that helps. Yeah, and I would recommend holding the muscle in a tense position for like 5 seconds, releasing, and repeating this exercise maybe like 3 or 4 times. Just go slow. Be very patient with your muscles. Don't go too crazy with it. Yeah, that's it. So then, aside from those physical exercises, you should also try to incorporate exercise into your daily routine, because I feel like with a lot of cases with anxiety, it's typically caused by an overstimulated nervous system. And we know that exercise, it'll give you something to do with all that excess energy. If you have all this excess energy that's kind of getting in the way, then you need to release it in some way, and exercise is like the perfect opportunity to do that. So try exercise. Don't push yourself too far if you don't want to, but just try to get in like at least 10 minutes a day. Go for 30 minutes 3 or 4 times a week is ideal. And I feel like that helps a lot, because it's giving you something to release all that energy that you have just moving around your nervous system. Alongside with exercise, obviously diet is a key factor. I know that reading off some papers, there's a lot of good research based off changing your diet, and especially changing your diet by incorporating more superfoods, whole foods, and less stimulants. So less coffee, less caffeine, no pop, don't fucking drink that sugar shit, and herbs. I don't know too much about the herbs. I've been trying to incorporate some different herbs into my diet, because I also have some thyroid disruption, but it's too early to tell really. I guess I will report back to you guys if you're curious how the herbs are working out. So yeah, changing your diet. Food is so important. If you're eating garbage, you're obviously going to feel like shit, and that's going to make you feel like shit on top of the anxiety. And if you stick at it for a long enough time, I feel like you will notice the benefits. You might be more calm when you're accompanying it with the exercise, the meditation, the relaxation techniques, and so on. Yeah. I think I'm going to go back to okay, I think I'm gonna okay, so going back to what I talked about earlier about really being observant about why you experience anxiety and journal about it. Think about a situation that makes you anxious, like going to a party. Think about why you don't want to go. Is there something you're going to say? Will you do something foolish to make people laugh at you, or you won't know what to say? Think about what you typically observe when you're about to go in that situation. And it's important to realize that your thoughts are not facts. No matter how much you believe they might happen, they're just guesses and possible assumptions of the social situation. So we tend to overestimate how threatening the social situation can really be, but it's also extremely vital to understand that you have to be a realistic thinker in learning to manage anxiety. And that comes with time, obviously. Being anxious, you get a little bit delusional. One thing that's helped with me is I have like my best friend, when she will come to me to tell me how I'm doing, like we'll go to a party or whatever, and I'll say something and I'll look at her and I'll be like, dude, is that fucking stupid? Did I just say something really dumb? And she'll be like, no, it was fine. Sometimes you say funny shit, but like, no, it's fine. And it's helpful to have like a really close person to you who is non-judgmental and is willing to help you and progress further. And I know this person because she's so honest with me. Even when I do say stupid shit, she'll be like, yeah, it was a little bit dumb, but like, move the fuck ever, who cares? And I support her for that. Yeah, so these aren't facts based on So once you become consistent in detecting your negative thoughts, start to assess them. Recall your thoughts as assumptions of what you think may happen in a social situation, and try to separate them and tell yourself, okay, they're not real facts. Like I said before, ask yourself, okay, are these thoughts based on real, concrete, indisputable facts, or are these thoughts really helpful at all? Are they leading you forward to something? For the most part, they aren't. And yeah. I guess an example would be like, okay, I'm about to go to a party. Now, I don't want to go to this party because I have anxiety. What am I going to say? I'm fearing something. I'm thinking I'm going to say something stupid. No, that's not 100% certain. Maybe there's a slight chance you might say something stupid, but how many times in the past have you gone to a party and every single occurrence you've said something stupid? Like, you're overestimating the stupidity that might come out of your mouth. And even if you do say something stupid, it's not the end of the world. I mean, think of all the times you've witnessed somebody else saying something stupid. Whatever they said might be relatively stupid, but did you remember it the next day? In that moment, you might have thought, okay, that guy's saying some pretty stupid shit, but whatever. Laugh it off, doesn't really matter. That's kind of the same thought process that everybody else might be going through. So just try to think about, how have I observed other people when they said things that are stupid? Have I really give too much shit about it? No. So it's helpful to realize how you've thought of things. And you know what? Your future doesn't depend on it to please everybody and be watchful of what you're saying, And if you do say something dumb, like, nothing really matters. Like, your future doesn't depend on anything after what you said. Like, if you say that, whatever. If that makes sense. This is getting like pretty scattered, I think. Yeah, so if there's another way of looking at it, just try to adopt that and think about what you can do. What did I write here? Okay, so it's really, really integral to let go. Let go of any assumptions. Let go of any false pretenses. Let go of the need to be perfect. I think this is really key. You don't have to be liked by everyone. You don't have to be perfect. Perfection does not exist. Within your imperfections is imperfections, or perfections rather. Let go of the need to be perfect. Let go of the need to be liked by everyone. You can win some, you can lose some. You can't please everybody. And regardless of what you say and do, even if you weren't anxious, you'd still be judged by some people. Thankfully, not everyone judges you in a critical fashion, but there will be always, the naysayers and the people who do go about their ways by judging other people. So just try to see it that way. Don't worry. Don't try to be perfect. Don't let go of this idea that I should never make mistakes. Oh, God forbid I ever make a mistake. If I make a mistake, that's it. It's over. You're allowed to make mistakes. That's life. You learn from these mistakes. As cliche as it is, you progress from your mistakes, and that's the only way that you understand where you were at that point in time in order to transform. And also let go of this need to be liked by everybody. And let go of the idea that it's not okay to be anxious. Because there's nothing wrong with being anxious. You have to just really remember that. There's nothing, you don't have a huge problem. You're not a freak. You're just experiencing some difficulty here and there. And it shouldn't define you, because you're way more than that. And just always believe that. It's okay to be anxious sometimes. I'm going to go back again to some symptoms that we adopt when we are socially anxious. These would be labeled as safety behaviors. And it's just another coping strategy where individuals with anxiety, they often come about relying on something or someone as a means for coping with their excessive anxiety. This can be demonstrated in a lot of ways. I find that what I used to do when I feel anxious, I try to create a safety situation. I guess I can explain the different types, and then I'll explain what I did. Let's see, what did I write? 1 second. Okay, so rather than completely avoiding social situations, some people engage in subtle avoidance strategies as a means for coping. And they do things to feel safer or to prevent their feared expectations from coming true. For example, if you're worried about saying something stupid, you may be less inclined to talk. And you may not talk as much. Let's say you're at a party. Once again, I use this party situation because it's basically where I get most of my anxiety with around new people and stuff. But let's say you're at a party and you're sitting at a table with a few of your friends, and there's other random strangers, and you're socializing, you're having a good time because your friends are there, nothing's wrong. They get up to go somewhere, and as soon as they leave, you kind of just keep it hot on the hush hush, and you don't talk as much. So that's a way of, preventing yourself and trying to be safe, so you don't say anything to make yourself look stupid or whatever. And a few other examples of safety behaviors would be removing yourself from the situation, so sitting outside of a group, frequently going to the bathroom, finding a task to look busy. I find that I used to do this so much. A lot of people do this with phones too. They'll have their cell phone in their hand and they'll pretend they're occupied by reading text messages just to avoid being seen by other people or talking to other people. Another thing I used to do was, back when I used to smoke cigarettes, I would smoke to just let myself be busy with my hands so that I didn't have to do anything else, or I didn't have to communicate. So those few others, engaging in, I don't know, using alcohol, I guess, using drugs, distracting yourself, zoning out. Yeah, when you zone in and out of conversations and you kind of just tell people, oh yeah, I zoned out, but really you just didn't want to talk to them at all. Or you're tired. What else? I think that's good enough. Yeah, so I don't know. For a really long time, I was often unaware of the safety behaviors that I was exhibiting in order to feel safer. So I think it's really important to, if you're watching this, to pinpoint what it is you do, what are your safety behaviors, and for the next few weeks maybe pay close attention to the things you do to protect yourself in those situations. Because these strategies, they really prevent you from realizing that the situation is not dangerous and these behaviors may not be necessary to keep you safe. Thus, a part of the exposure involves you in reducing some of these subtle avoidance strategies or safety behaviors. What else did I write? I wrote a lot, guys. I should write a book on this. Fuck. Okay. What can you do? So yeah, part of like CBT work is getting yourself out there and doing exposure therapy. I wrote something down. What is it? Okay. Yeah. So this is like kind of part of exposure therapy. I find sometimes it can be helpful to examine the truthfulness of your thoughts or behaviors. As much as it's hard to dive into it, it could be very beneficial. So, for example, how bad would it be if others saw the way your face looked when you blushed? Or how bad would it be if somebody saw how much you trembled when you were talking? So, it might seem silly, but maybe fake that situation, put yourself in a situation and purposely like act a little shaky, act a little anxious to see how the reaction of the other person will be, see what they'll say. And often I find that you will get a positive reaction. Somebody will ask you, okay, how are you? Are you okay? Like, you know, it's not that bad. So some examples include asking a silly question. Ask for directions of a street that you're already on, because it's kind of like a silly thing to do, and it might make you uncomfortable, especially if you're anxious in these social environments. What else can you do? Where is it? Let your hand shake while holding a glass of water. Maybe drop something purposely and then look around and see if anybody's looking at you. Chances are maybe a few people will be looking at you, but really it doesn't really matter too much. Wear your shirt inside out. Mispronounce a word. Pretend to lose your train of thought mid-sentence. And this one I did the other day. Wait for the cashier to close the till and then ask for change. I freaking don't like doing shit like that, but I did it anyways, and it wasn't that bad. It was alright. So yeah, the key is just to face your fears, because there's no running away with it. They're just going to keep growing and growing, and if you keep repressing them, then they're obviously going to come back more amplified, and it's going to be much more harder to deal with, trust me. Yeah, I think that's it. Just be brave. You can do it. It may take a long time. It may not. But, you know, it's something, if you're here, you clearly want to get over it, and you want to just learn to better understand it. So just practice at it. Do your best to record your thoughts. Keep a journal, like I said. Exercise, diet, so key. Eat fucking good foods. Eat fresh, organic, good shit. And if you can't get organic, scrub that produce ban. Yeah, eat well. Drink good water. Meditate. Hang out with people who make you feel comfortable. They're not going to judge you as much, and they're there to help you progress and be a better person. And just be kind. Just breathe and smile, and that's it. Sounds cheesy sometimes, but it's what you need to do. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. Drink kombucha. Goodbye.